Picture this, just you and me by a campfire, the world silent, the night deep, and the line between real and unreal blurring after midnight. Tonight, I'm sharing true stories, real encounters with the unexplainable, the kind that linger long after the fire dies down. Clara lived alone in a quiet suburb, a place where everyone knew their neighbor and the streets were usually peaceful. It was the kind of neighborhood where nothing ever seemed to happen, or so she thought. One night, just after midnight, when the world was still and dark, her phone rang, shattering the silence of the night. The shrill sound echoed through her small house. She picked up, a little nervous, but there was only silence on the other end, just a hollow, empty void. She hung up, unsettled by the strange, silent call. A shiver ran down her spine. The next night, same time, same call. The clock struck midnight, and the phone began to ring once more. Again, only silence greeted her. Just the faint hiss of static, amplifying her unease. By the third night, she unplugged the phone, hoping to find some peace, but still heard a phantom ringing, a ghostly echo in the dead of night. It was all in her head, wasn't it? On the fourth night, driven by a mix of fear and morbid curiosity, she answered, heart pounding in her chest. Silence, then a raspy whisper, a voice that seemed to crawl from the depths of a nightmare. Soon, the single word hung in the air, heavy with dread. The next night, paralyzed by fear, she watched the caller ID, her eyes glued to the screen. The phone rang at 12:03 a.m., the same time as before, each ring a hammer blow to her sanity. No number appeared, just the words, stark and terrifying. Inside house. The message glowed ominously on the screen. Clara dropped the phone and ran, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She never spending another night there, too afraid to ever return. She never learned what kind of person could do such a thing, or what malevolent force was behind the calls. She only knew that something sinister was calling, and it wanted her gone. David, young college student, trying to balance his studies with the challenges of independent living, always felt watched, as if unseen eyes were constantly observing his every move. This feeling was especially strong within the confines of his aging apartment. The apartment itself had a history, or at least, it felt that way. It was an old, rundown place with long, dimly lit hallways that seemed to stretch into infinity. One night, as the shadows deepened and the silence grew heavy, he saw something that would forever change his perception of reality. He saw a tall, featureless shadow, a dark silhouette that defied any logical explanation. It stood motionless at the end of his hallway, a silent sentinel guarding some unknown secret. Frozen with fear, his heart pounding in his chest, he stared, unable to move, as it stood there, a dark and imposing figure, silent, the silence amplifying the terror, and menacing, radiating an aura of pure dread. Every instinct screamed at him to flee, and when he finally managed to step back, breaking the spell, the shadow seemed to dissolve, to melt into the very fabric of the darkness that surrounded it, and vanished, leaving no trace of its existence. David, his mind racing, barricaded himself, piling furniture against the door in his room, seeking the false comfort of security until the first rays of sunrise painted the sky. That night, that single terrifying encounter left him with a lifelong crippling fear of the dark, a constant reminder of the unseen horrors that lurked just beyond the edge of the light. It also instilled in him the unshakable sense that some things, some entities, only reveal themselves when the lights go out, when the world is shrouded in shadow. Frank, a season-long haul trucker, a man of the open road, picked up a shivering hitchhiker one particularly cold night. She seemed desperate for a ride, her figure illuminated by the truck's headlights. This happened on a lonely stretch of Nevada highway, a place where the stars are bright and the silence is deafening. The clock in his cab read just after midnight, the witching hour. She barely spoke a word, her presence adding to the eerie atmosphere. She just stared out the window, lost in thought, or perhaps something far more unsettling. Feeling a pang of sympathy, he gave her his jacket to ward off the chill. Then, just minutes later, in the blink of an eye, she vanished completely. She was gone from the seat, The door still locked from the inside, untouched. The truck was still moving steadily down the dark highway, with no explanation for her disappearance. Utterly shaken and bewildered, Frank desperately needed to make sense of what he'd experienced, so he told his story at a roadside diner, hoping someone could offer an explanation. The waitress, after listening intently, sent him to the local cemetery, a place of rest and, perhaps, unsettling answers. There, nestled among the rows of weathered graves on a weathered grave, was his jacket, the very one he'd lent to the hitchhiker. It was draped carefully over the cold, hard tombstone. The tombstone marked the final resting place of a young woman, her name etched in stone. The inscription revealed she died 50 years before that very night. The fire's low, but that chill lingers. Clara, David, Frank, just a few who've glimpsed the unknown after midnight. Maybe it's tricks of the mind, or maybe it's something else. Waiting in the dark? Have your own midnight story? Share it in the comments. Let's keep the campfire burning. Because sometimes, the scariest things aren't monsters. They're the real mysteries that remind us we're not alone. After midnight, truth is stranger than fiction.